Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Spark of Genius Flesh and Blood production. We have a little bit of an ad hoc video going here because today is a very special day because FAB 2.0 is finally being launched. This video should go up like night of. Essentially, we're recording this at about 30 minutes after the release of the article. We just
Yeah,
wanted to digest it,
roughly.
gather our
It was a little
thoughts.
bit late, but very
That's
close
because
to
the
half an
website
hour.
that's because the website kept crashing. That's not really
Everyone's just
here
there
nor there
refreshing
here.
the web page until it
Yeah.
came up. Yeah.
Uh, with that, I want to say, if you like our content, feel free to comment, like and subscribe, to click the bell for our notifications on our content. Follow our
Hmm.
Twitter for any announcements on the week's schedule. And with that, we're on to FAB 2.0. So there's a lot to digest here, and we're just
Yeah.
gonna go through it
It's a
chronologically, essentially. So
long, long
let's
article.
it's a beast of an article here. So essentially, FAB 2.0, as it's been explained, I think James White has been hinting on it in a bunch of different kind of interviews, like between different creators and different kind of pieces of media.
Yeah.
He's hinted that there's going to be some big changes here. So this looks like it's culmination of all the changes. We're going to give the viewers the thoughts here.
Yeah.
So
We'll summarize the
what?
changes as well as give our own thoughts
Mhm.
on each topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So what is FAB 2.0? So essentially, it's just the culmination of everything he's been wanting to
Yeah.
change.
And
Essentially,
he's also targeting more, I guess, more of the product side and like maybe not so much the gameplay itself as he talked
Mhm.
about, but it's going to target like the elo. It's going to target product for sure, and a few other
Mhm.
minor things, but definitely not like gameplay. That's not the
Yeah,
focus of FAB 2.0.
which is fair. So let's just start off with like the retired, like probably the
Yeah, part
biggest
one.
the biggest yeah the biggest issue that's been kind of culminating when Unlimited first came out is I think the intention was there with Arcane and Welcome to Wraith because those
Hmm.
sets were so short printed,
Yeah.
right? Because they were the first ones. They weren't really in the United States or stateside or in Europe. They were really like more of a New Zealand and like the surrounding kind of areas ish product. So printing that Unlimited kind of made a lot of sense. But as you
Hmm.
kind of went into Tales and Everfest being the last set of Unlimited that's going to be out, so the new set after Everfest is not going to have an Unlimited.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think the issue with the dividing First Ed and Unlimited is that distribution got so choked on the fact that they had all this random product that nobody wanted to buy and they stuck it to all the stores, and depending on the distributor you had, it was a complete crapshoot on how
Hmm.
you get allocated for First Ed. They tie it to Unlimited.
Yep.
Unlimited is like, and if they release it like 3, 4, 5 months after First Ed, then
Hmm.
like you're missing card stock for events for the competitive players. You're missing card stock for booster drafts. You're not really helping your player population actually getting cards to play the game. So
Yep.
what he's trying to do, what James is trying to say here is that, and he says it like 5,000 different times. He says
Yep.
playing in quotations. He says it in italics. He says it in bold and italics. He is very akin to the idea that this is a game for players first, which me and Rob definitely agree with that one. Even though we have
Yep.
a bit of a piece in the collector's market also, but that wasn't the main idea when we started collecting the game in general. Is because we enjoyed the game itself, played a lot of the game. We
Yep.
still do play a lot of the game, obviously. So it kind of makes sense on what he's trying to do here. So what is he saying here? He's saying, in his childhood, blah 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 blah. His childhood, he must have had a great childhood playing all these
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering games and such. But I think he's saying like in the beginning, First Ed made sense. Now it
Yep.
doesn't, and I think that echoes with most of the population. I think it agree. We've all kind of agreed that I don't know how you feel about First Ed, but I think I kind of it's
Hmm.
had its time in the sun as far as like the correct product to launch as
Yeah.
far as the first couple sets,
Yep.
and that they're kind of doing away with it. Starting next set, there's not going to be a First Ed. There's just going to be one.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree totally with the sentiment. I think that
yeah.
with the amount of first ed that we are now getting for more modern sets, I guess
Hmm.
post Crucible, there's a lot of it out there. We did see the Monarch print run recently. There
Yeah.
were about
100.
4 times as much as Crucible of War. I think
Yeah.
because the player
125.
base is still so like nascent, it's not a. I mean, it's growing, but it's not a huge player base. The amount of first ed actually might meet demand. In Everfest and Tales of Aria and Monarch, there might be enough for everybody to open and to get their playsets. So the unlimited product just sits on shelves. But as you mentioned, pre Monarch for Welcome to
Yep.
Wraith, Alpha, Arcane First Edition, Crucible First Edition, there was not much out there. And Crucible First Edition, even though it came out in Canada, it came out with the worldwide release, it was quickly eaten up and
Yep.
also hoarded up by people because they looked at
Yep.
the first two sets as examples of like, hey, this stuff can
Tendy
be worth a
Tendy
lot of money.
Central.
So a
Give me
lot of it
some
was hoarded,
tendies.
and Monarch was a bit on that boat, but now with the retracement a little bit, it's kind of going out there a little more. So I do think that having one set that can maintain the appeal throughout its life cycle, can still be appealing to buy by both collectors and players, makes a lot of sense. And I know that I will keep buying product, as long as it's out there and as long as I want more. I, being someone who opened cards as they came out in first ed, I never really went
Yep.
to unlimited stuff,
I
unless I was
I
drafting.
also I unless the price was so absurd
Yes.
that I just couldn't afford it, I just bought some first ed, got it out of the
Yep.
way. You can draft with unlimited when it comes out. That's whatever. But I
Exactly.
resonate what he says in the second paragraph there that
Mm-hmm.
you could sorry in the why not release first
Oh,
ed
I'm sorry.
unlimited the same
Here we
day.
go. Yeah, yeah.
It's like Magic the Gathering, other games do that, right? Like the collectors versus the draft sets and booster sets and all that kind of thing. The different games have done that in the past as well, but
Mm-hmm.
I definitely resonate the feeling when you crack that cold foil legendary or fable, the joy.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember when I cracked my cold foil skullcap out of an arc first
Yeah.
box. It's like jumping up and down. It's like giddy little girl or giddy little boy. I can say giddy little human being. And
Yeah.
I'm in my late
And
20s here, so
so,
it's not. Uh,
and the way they're going to marry these two concepts of first edition and unlimited, they're going to include cold foils as well as rainbow foils of most of the cards. I
yep,
believe including legendaries and maybe even
yep.
fabled. I'm not sure. I think here it says includes both cold foils and rainbow foil equipment, fabled
I
and
like how
alt arts.
you're just casually skipping over the most important sentence, starting with Uprising, which is going to be the brand new booster set, which is probably going to be used for
Yeah.
Road to Nationals. It's going to be used for national season, I imagine. It's going to be the next set. I think they said they release 3 sets per year. So that's going to be the set up until Q4, probably. Like that's going to be the set. I don't know if it's going to be the
Yeah.
world set. I don't think it's going to be the world set. If they do indeed do worlds in November, December,
Mm-hmm.
I think there might be a set before worlds, but this is going to be the set that has like essentially the
Yeah.
second
I
major
mean,
kind of
June, July,
block of
August,
2022.
September. So I guess we should expect a product maybe around the October timeline there,
Hmm.
if it's
Yeah,
every
I
four
don't
months.
know I don't know nearly enough about the lore to try to guess who's uprising against who and what like
No.
where. And it might just be because remember in like when they released Monarch, the set name and the name was both Monarch, but then Tales of Aria, I forgot what name they
Yes.
had there
Yes,
on the
that's right.
thing. It wasn't the same one. It was some
LA.
random
Was it
name.
like
Yeah,
oh
I
yes.
don't know what they called it on the front page. It was
It
some
was
random name, and then
Kingdoms,
everyone's
right?
like, "It was Kingdoms."
It was
They named it
Kingdoms.
Kingdoms,
Yeah.
and then it comes out Tales of Aria, and everyone's super
Mm-hmm.
confused. So I don't know if the set will be named Uprising, but I'm
Yeah.
looking at the card that they're showing in the very bottom there.
You mean this one here?
Based on that, yeah, it looks like I think it is
UPR.
Uprising. I think the set might be called Uprising. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's probably somewhere in the lore. I'm sure someone comment down below if you know some possible uprisings happening in the world of
Yeah.
Wraith, Wrath, Ruth, Radloth,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
whatever you call it. But like this is important that you kind of alluded to. The legendary and fable cold foils are 3 times rare than
Yeah.
they've.
So that'd
They're
be
already pretty rare.
that's shown down here. So it looks like the rainbow foils are 1 out of 80 packs for legendaries.
Mhm.
Roughly, if we're sticking to 24 packs a box, that's
Yep.
roughly 3 to 4 boxes. So one per case is typically where you would, like we have it right now. But
Hmm.
the legendary cold foils now are about 3 times as rare, being 1 out of 220 packs.
Yeah,
So,
I'm assuming it's going to be the same. Like I'm assuming they're not blocking any particular piece of equipment, saying like this one's only available in rainbow foil, this one's only available in cold foil. That wouldn't
yeah,
really that like flies in the face of I think what they're trying to do here. So I'm going to assume
yeah.
that like everything is going to be available in both
And
foilings. It might
funny
not be
enough,
all the legendaries. It might not be all the entire. If they release 10 legendaries, oh, they're all going to have 2 versions. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be true, but I don't think they're
yeah,
going to
they
gatekeep.
haven't explicitly
Uh,
told us that it's going to be for every legendary, but I hope it is. I don't think they would do that for any specific one to only be in cold foil. I was
mhm.
going to mention that
Yeah,
the pull rates for the fables are still all
still question
censored
mark.
out.
It makes
Yeah,
sense because they didn't really give us like they had like the sealed
yeah.
product
It was
distribution.
anecdotal,
Uh,
or kind of you could like
mm,
kind of build a value based off of I guess how many he said that there were out there in the world, and the
Yep.
print run, but
Yeah, it was like one of 20,
nothing
one of 20
official
boxes or
really.
something. Yeah, no, it's
Exactly.
fair.
Yeah, but
I think
I will add just the
little
icon we're
triangle
seeing
there.
here, the triangle or half diamond, as he puts it here.
Yeah.
This is meant to be a new rarity symbol that
Mm-hmm.
will apply to any card that has an alternate version of it. So the example that he gives here is that if you have like the regular majestic Aether Wildfire, the extended art version will have this new rarity symbol. So it's an easier way to distinguish between different types of the same card, which I like a lot. And it's called
I
Marvel
definitely,
Rarity. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this is Marvel
yeah,
Rarity.
I
Yeah.
think it's definitely like, and the frequency obviously depends on what kind of card you're looking at.
Yes.
I definitely like the idea of making it a lot more easily seen, especially if you want to try to sell it or
Mm-hmm.
buy it. I think that's quite key, just in case if you don't know, how particularly rare it is. They've actually designated as such. You might get some cooler cards like the full art,
Mm-hmm.
the extended twinning blade. That kind of card might be
Yeah.
like a lot more rare than like an
And
extended art
of course, the alt
Ada
arts as
Wildfire.
well will apply.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah, the
think he
alt arts.
boasted in
That's
the
true.
article here that the alt arts are going to
It's got
be
some
like
cool stuff.
nothing we've seen before. So they are really pushing the alt art um,
Hmm.
game, and
Yeah,
I love alt arts. I think they are like the best
I
things to pull.
also big fan. I'm still waiting for a cold foil anime Command and Conquer that I can run three of, but that's neither here
Yeah.
nor there. The last part of that is the token thing as far as drafting. So if you scroll back up
Oh, that's
there
right. Yes.
in
Yes.
they're replacing, as far as they're trying to
Let me search
remove
for
the
it here.
value drafting.
Token. Here we
Yeah,
go.
they're trying to remove the
Yeah.
value
Yeah.
drafting aspect in the higher level competitive events. So
Yes.
if you go to like let's say you make day two of your nationals and you start drafting, but like you can't really make it any further. But
Just
depending on your record, you might
take
have
the
just
cold foil.
yeah. If you're drafting first ed, right? Like you would just kind of take that.
Yeah.
But like now there is no, this is first ed, right? So this will be the product. So
Yeah.
going forward, I understand what they're doing here. It makes total sense at higher level events to try to avoid that, because then your integrity of the draft does, like,
Yeah.
you could have extremely powerful cards being passed,
Yeah.
skewing the whole thing over, and then to skewing it over to like a particular hero depending on what was pulled. And so now all the cards are all the packs will probably be 16 cards per pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the token slot will now be the
Token
cold foil.
plus 15. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All cold foils that you get will be in the token slot. You will take the card out of the pack, right? That will be your card regardless. It won't affect the draft.
Yeah.
And you'll still have like the regular tokens, like it's one extra card to be the token, right?
Yeah.
And this will kind of help make the draft more normalized. And I definitely like that a lot. It's one of those like subtle little changes that you don't think about, but then you realize that, oh,
Yeah.
now it doesn't matter if you're drafting first ed or unlimited in like a big event. Well, it's all just going to be this one. It's all going to be uprising,
It's true. I
right?
will add that it doesn't apply to the extended arts and alt arts. Those can still be pulled
Yeah,
in the pack, and you can still value pick those, but not
and
the
I
cold foils.
will,
And I
and
will.
I will,
Yeah.
and I will. But if you're getting a one per 220 pack legendary cold foil, I would have definitely picked that up if that was there.
That
So
too. It does mitigate a little bit of it. I think value picking
yeah,
can still be a thing, but
hmm
cold foils are the chase cards for
yeah,
these
and
sets, so it makes sense.
we don't know the frequency of these Marvel cards either, so it's a
No,
little bit hard to guesstimate.
exactly.
Cold
Okay,
foil
moving on to
reprints.
the reprint policy. TLDR didn't change.
Not really. I think they just reinforced that it's going to be expanded to include everything in future sets. I love the reprint
Yeah.
policy. I think it's great, and it needs to preserve those first eds that people have put money into. I'm not like super pro collector or anything like that, but like you need to understand that for any game to thrive, you need to have. I was actually talking to someone earlier about this. You need to have
Hmm.
a bit of an asset class. Is kind of how I look at it, right? From a
Hmm.
business point of view, that for a market to succeed, you need people burning money, spending money on these cards, opening these cards, looking for these singles. You need to have some kind of extrinsic, intrinsic, whatever, however you're framing it, depending on who you are, some kind of value attached to it, right? And so that
Hmm.
asset class base for a lot of the earlier sets is going to be cold foils, right? Cold
Yeah.
foil legendaries,
Yeah.
power 10 or power whatever you want to call it.
Power 12.
And
Yeah.
I think I totally agree with the kind of expanding it to only have like the uprising cold foils will only be an uprising, and then they'll have like organized play cards
Yeah.
obviously, or have always been under a different kind of I've
Yeah.
always been under a different kind of policy. So I do like that they're extending it to make sure the past isn't kind of wonky, and then the future is solidified a little bit more.
Yeah. So the
Um,
difference that I can also add here is that cold foils were only available in first ed historically up until now.
mhm.
They
Yep.
will be available, of course, in the whole product now. The whole product's life cycle until they stop printing this new hybrid product of both first ed and unlimited together. The cold foils will still be a thing. So they'll be, I guess, pullable for a longer time, but they'll be much rarer. So I'm hoping it
Mhm.
balances out in terms of how many there are, in the world, because total count of a certain card does matter if you're collecting. It does matter like what the print run of a specific card, like the Heart of Findle is like about 430 in the world. That matters to people, and so I'm hoping that there aren't going to be flooded. They won't flood, the market, but at the same
Mhm.
time, um, it's now making the product fun to open throughout its entire life cycle. It's not just unlimited; it's only for players and people who got into first that don't
Yeah.
want to open it anymore. It's like it's always going to be there.
Very
I'm just hoping there
very
won't be
divisive
like
topic.
that many exactly, and I
Yeah.
think I can see it from both sides, and I
Mhm.
I do like whatever they're doing now. I do like it a lot.
All right, rolling on to past, present, and future. This is probably one of the biggest releases,
Yeah.
biggest parts of this article here. The game is expanding. Yes, yes. Oh God, put that away. Put that away. The game's expanding.
It's blinding me.
Maybe not as fast as it used to be. I'm actually a little bit unsure as far as player base. Like it's
Yeah.
definitely growing. I don't know if the growth rate has slowed down or
There are
not.
like anecdotal
Uh,
pieces from people like in certain areas where there's just no play
yeah,
at all, whereas in our areas, or at least mine, it seems to be picking up steam quite a bit.
yeah.
It's
People
hard to
also
tell on
do
a global
leave,
level,
right?
really.
Yeah,
People leave
but
too. Yeah.
the idea is like this is like there's well established markets as well as there's kind of newer markets that they want to get into and grow the game, right? So obviously
Yeah.
you're going to need more product into the hands of people. You're going to need more accessibility to kind of key cards. Um,
Yeah.
Key cards being the kind of cards that work in a lot of deck. Like, feel free to see our Back to Basics episodes where we go over the singles that the hostess with the mostest there. We might have to redo that with this new set here, but the point is that there are kind of objectively cards that are just better than others at being more flexible, especially newer players, getting them into a more competitive mindset as far as giving them more
Yeah.
competitive decks to play with and practice with. But the history pack is going to be that kind of piece that Legend Source Studios is hoping will bridge, I think, as they say, like kind of bridge the gap between the slashing of the unlimited product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this history pack is going to come out as per the product page May 6th. And that's actually a couple
Yes.
weeks away. So
Actually,
that's
I've got it open
we could
here
bring
if
it
you
up.
want
Yeah,
to
we
take a
could bring
look.
it up. Yeah, we
Yeah.
could bring it up here. So it's May 6th. Let's talk
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about the history pack here. So
Sure.
the
Yeah.
history pack is going the way of the revised set with the white borders. So revised in Magic the Gathering was the one that came after Alpha and Beta, as well as you had your unlimited prints here, and it's the first kind of booster box that had white borders,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of I have so many thoughts, and not a lot of them are positive about these cards here. Like to me, the idea makes sense. The problem is that when I'm looking at this card, it looks like they just forgot to put the border. Like it looks, I don't know.
I
Maybe
think
I'm
it'll
being
grow
very
on
like,
us. Like I'm being optimistic. This will grow on me. When I see the cards in
okay,
person, I'll be a bit happier. I
Rob will take the pro. I'll take the con here. So
Yeah, yeah.
as far as the pro, I do agree with you. I think they will grow on people just because people need reprints of like CNC. They need reprints of a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these staples, especially CNC. Uh,
Yep.
and I don't know about as far as like the set itself is over 400 cards, and there's only 10 cards per pack. So as far as like 10 cards per pack, 36
Whew.
packs. So you're going to get 360 cards per
Yeah.
box, right? As compared to the 24 times 15, right? Because that's what it was, 24 packs
Yeah,
per box
exactly. This is
before
kind
that
of
had
like
15 cards.
an expansion set type of
Yeah. But it's the
quantity
same
here.
total card. It's the same total cards, right? Because 24 times 15 and 36 times 10, it's the same total cards. So you're getting the
Mm,
same size, right? But you're combining
okay.
three sets together.
Yeah.
So as far as like the
So Welcome to
odds,
Wraith, Arcane Rising, and Crucible
and
of
Crucible of
War
War,
are all included
yeah,
in this history pack one.
yeah, and I think they will come out. They have said they're going to come up with more of these, but I
Mm.
think it is an interesting idea. Like no foils. This is definitely
Yes.
not for
No
the
foils.
established player. in my opinion, like the one who's really like
Hmm.
already put the money into getting a lot of these key cards. This is definitely
Yes.
like a pure play to get those new players that don't care about foils. They just want to
Yep.
play the game at the cheapest price point. The MSRP per pack. I know the per display was a bit jarring to some people, seeing the actual display price being like 140 US, 180
Yeah.
Canadian. These are
It's
higher.
quite big. And in Canada
They're
here, we're looking at
higher
about 180 Canadian per box.
as opposed to like the 135 it was before. But if you look at the MSRP per pack, it is a lower MSRP per pack because there's 12 more packs, so you have a 50%
Yeah.
increase in packs. So if you actually look at the per pack cost, it is cheaper.
True.
Except there's just more of them, right? Like a per pack cost is cheaper. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of, did you want 36 packs? Did you want 24? Because the packs are only 10 cards per pack, right? So
Exactly.
it's
So number
cheaper
of
pack with
cards
less
is like the
cards.
same compared to Welcome to Wraith and Arcane, I guess, because they had
Mm.
15 cards per pack. Here you're getting the reduced pack size, but more packs. So
I
I don't know.
guess I guess the per card price is probably higher if there's only 10 cards per pack. I
Yeah,
don't want to get into the math of
exactly.
this. So the
It's
per
the
card pack,
same quantity of cards as like a
mhm,
main set,
a regular box, yeah,
but it is about $50 more for this one.
mhm.
Now
Yeah, as a
it is
core
a
set, not
special
not the
product.
supplementary.
Yeah, it is a special
It is definitely
product.
special. So
Not
that being
required by people
said,
who already have the cards, right?
yeah. That being said, most of the older school Magic players and Magic collectors I know really dislike the white borders. So
Mm,
this is just going to be a play, and some people like it. I'm not saying everyone hates it, but like
yeah,
my opinion is definitely not just my own. I know of plenty of people who dislike the
yeah.
white borders,
There's
and
a
for good
backing to
reason.
this.
As I said, the card just looks like it's missing. Like it looks like someone just took paper and printed an image and
Hmm.
just forgot to get the
It,
resolution right, so it's not going through
yeah.
the edges. Like I don't.
Yeah, I agree with that. I
Maybe
think
it's
because
whatever.
every card
And
has its own unique border too, like Command and Conquer has this like golden border. Here,
that's the thing.
it
They
does
have
clash
borders to
a
all of these
bit.
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I need to see it in a sleeve, as you said, and there are sleeves that come with borders kind of
Hmm.
in them. I don't really like those kinds
It's
of sleeves,
true.
but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do I do need to see a bit more of that. So
Yeah.
jury's out on that. So we can go back to the article now, I
Although
guess.
I was going to say that if you are someone who just wants these cards to play with, as the set is intended
And they
for,
don't care.
you
Yeah.
probably won't mind too much. Of course, you want good looking cards, but I think this will grow on me over time. I think that right now it's pretty stark to compare it to a
It'll
dark
grow
bordered
it'll
card.
grow it'll grow on me like a tumor.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Uh
Wrong page. Here we go.
that forget about that one. So yeah, so I like
Yeah.
the ones they've given out here, Tunic, CNC. Oh, we've all needed that Dorinthia reprint. And so scrolling down to the second part of this,
Hmm.
this was alluded to already as far as the multiple languages. James did
Yes.
say in an interview, Mr. White, if you'd like to call him Mr. White instead.
There we go.
He said in a YouTube interview, I believe it was with a French channel. I'm not going to try to pronounce them because I don't remember what they're called.
Hmm.
But saying French language was definitely coming, and that kind of led me to believe that they're going to go the way of every other major card game and not just literally pick one European language to expand. So
Yeah.
this group of languages is the core group of like Latin languages that they do usually expand to, as far as French, German,
Yeah.
Italian,
French,
Spanish, and
German.
English.
Exactly.
This is something that nobody expected. This black label. I don't know whenever
Yeah.
someone puts black label on it
I just
on
thought
anything,
BGS
everyone thinks,
10.
yeah, you know what? I honestly think that's
It could be
probably where they got the
intentional.
idea from.
I think it's
Yeah.
intentional. Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And so they're
Hmm.
gonna have like the short print run, one time only black label edition of all of these kind of history packs.
Yes.
Something special that has not been done for a small subset of cards. What do you think that is? I have no idea. Probably my guess is alternate art. That is going to be my like an alternate art Tunic, maybe an
Yeah.
alternate art CNC, E Strike maybe.
Hmm.
Whatever. I'm trying to think of Artivore, those kinds of cards. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm guessing that it's an alternate art of like the power majestics and maybe some legendaries. That is my
That
guess.
was my
What are you
biggest
thinking?
hope for this set was that not just reprinting CNC or Easter egg, but putting alt arts because that would make it actually, I would actually want to open this product if I saw that there were alt art cards of my,
Right? Because
favorite majestics.
isn't this for us? Like when I mean us, I mean like for like me and
People
you. Like
who
we've
are
been to the game a little
established.
bit.
We have our
Yeah,
play sets of pretty much every card because we need them when we
yeah,
build decks, so we have them
yeah.
all, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like they at least they have a bit of a collection going already from these sets. Like, what? Why would anyone that isn't extremely new or just really want all that? Like, why would they want this set? And I'm guessing that is the chase, right? I don't know how much product I would buy of this. It
Hmm.
really depends on the price point. Like, is the black label the same price as the non-black
It
label? I'm not
should be.
actually sure,
I'm sure it
right?
will be because the price is only mentioned. Oh, let me pull that back up here.
Hmm.
Um, Now
Which is interesting
they
that the
don't.
English packs don't say black label on them, but like
Yes, that is
the
true.
other language packs do.
I actually
And
wonder because they don't have the label. I wonder if you'll be able to differentiate the box from the outside.
that's also fair. I
Right?
didn't actually think about that. If you go back to the article for a sec, do they
Yeah.
have they have something else? The first wave of history pack will be releasing in May 6th. However, they're not mentioning if that's black label
Down
or
here.
like is there one black label edition? Is there
Well,
one
this is first
not?
wave. Um, and let's see if
Oh,
they
I
mention
think
first wave here. They don't
is it
really mention
possible
first
that
wave.
is it possible that the history pack original white border will only be available in English and then the black label will only be available in other languages?
Hmm.
I'm actually thinking that's the case because when you're looking at the fact that only the English pack don't have black label on them,
Oh no, this
so there
one.
might be like a
No, it's short print run for French, German, Italian, Spanish.
yeah, not English. Uh, so they might actually have like a like this is a favor to everyone who's been playing with the English
Oh.
packs that don't actually speaking like English is not their first language. So I'm actually thinking that the regular white border is going to be English and the black label is going to be the
Yeah.
addition for
For the
the other
European
languages for the other
languages.
European. That
Yeah.
that makes a lot more
Yeah,
sense.
they did
I'm not sure if that's
differentiate
going to be the
here.
case.
You might be
Yep.
right. Yeah, because I do not see black label here for English.
Yep. And that will be
Hmm.
released on Canada Day. So I'm gonna be getting myself a German alt art Command and Conquer. That is going to be the goal here.
Nice.
So that's interesting. So
Okay.
history pack, I think if you scroll down a little bit, they're also
Yeah.
talking about like they're gonna get another one in 2024.
Yeah.
Uh,
Here's the next
so
History Pack 2, which will probably be
mhm.
Monarch, Tales of Aria,
But
and
it says biannually, right? So that's every 2 years. It has to be every two
yeah.
years, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
2022 to 2024, yeah. So who knows what this will
that makes sense.
include? It might not even include those three sets because they've been printed so much. I don't know, but
Yeah,
we'll see.
the print one is much higher for Monarch and Tails especially
Which we don't know.
comparatively
To be
speaking.
fair, we don't know it factually how much there are, but it's probably going to be similar, if
Mhm.
not more, than Monarch.
Yeah, I
Um,
totally agree. So
yeah,
playing the game. So this is part. So that was kind of like products, right?
yeah.
So now we're
Part
looking
one
at
was product. Part
the
two,
actual play,
yeah, not the
competitive
ruling
play,
per se, but the
not the gameplay. Yeah,
competitive
not the rules.
metadata, if
Yeah,
you want to put it that way.
right. So I
Yeah.
think this can be kind
Hmm.
of summarized. Like my thoughts about the game as it is currently is that LSS has definitely been trying to flesh out their competitive scene.
Hmm.
That's very evident by shoving $1 million prize pool in the 2022 kind of organized play series. That's been
Yes.
extremely obvious to anyone who's been actually watching the development of the game. There, LSS is trying to kind of get in the more competitive player mindset to actually develop the game as a
Hmm.
game. So as an actual like not just fun, but it's got like deep, like nice
They want to reward people who
rulings
put in the
and
time, people who dedicate themselves to being good at the
like
game.
the not just that but like the tos the judges like
Yep.
the entire kind of atmosphere the stuff that you don't
Having
need in a
extra
non-competitive
special
atmosphere.
promos for judges, special
Yep, the
promos even
heralds, the
for,
mats.
yeah, exactly, the playmats especially, right? Those are huge.
Right,
So
and I
they
think
definitely care about
yeah,
that.
and I think James White understands that you're kind of missing a big piece of the player base that is just a lot more casual. And even locally, I know locally for you too, there's a lot of players that come to Armories but didn't come to the ProQuest, or they
Exactly.
maybe they come once in a while. They come when they feel like it. It's not really a massive part in their life, and that's probably for most games that's the majority. Just
Yeah.
because that it's you can't really count on a competitive scene being super big unless you're starting to turn some of those casual players competitive, which is probably the reason for some of the history pack stuff. So
Hmm.
I think this is probably trying to expand on that, and I think they really need to. I think we talked about that in one of the other episodes when we talked about the Kickstarter thing. I was explaining like the lore; they should try to be expanding on that, and I think
Oh
that was the
yeah.
biggest part.
Yeah.
And he's kind of saying straight up, "I agree with you, Eric. I saw the video. I've heard what you said. I liked, comment, and subscribed. All the
Click that
things,
bell
right?
for
And so
notifications.
I think James clicked the bell. He's sitting there. He's like, oh, he's got some good points. Let's expand on this. And so he's saying here that we're going to jump more into the world of Wraith. And I think it's super important to really develop that lore and providing a atmosphere that players can jump
Mm-hmm.
into, right? You need to really take that player into your world to understand the characters, kind of the atmosphere, some of the art, especially like
Yeah.
really getting someone pumped about a hero because it's the hero, not just because it has some crazy ass ability or some crazy ass weapon, but like, don't you want to like a hero or love a hero because of their playstyle and the fact that they like ripped the tiger in two in the Savage Lands? Like, you want to be able
Heck
to
yeah.
really get into that. So I think that's what they're doing here,
Yeah.
right? So that's
And I agree fully. And I want to also highlight this point where they want to publish books. So no longer are the days
thank
where
God.
you
My
can, well,
God.
you cannot, you have to pay $1,000 for that lore book because you wanted to
Oh
have
my
that hard
God.
copy, like a hands-on book. Now they will
I
be
would want to buy
publishing
one,
books. Oh,
put
I
one
would.
right there, like
I'll,
right in the
yeah, just
background, like
right
right
here, just
here,
have
just
the
a book.
books. I would love to
Yeah.
go through the books, and if there's like a volume series of like, it's like a manga or something, or you can like have a bunch of them in continuation, maybe. That'd be a lot of fun.
I'd love to see the anime version. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, Netflix series when. But
Netflix
anyway.
series when.
Hmm.
But I definitely like that. So that's kind of point one. Point two is a social play. So the classic battles product, which we will be doing a full review on. We'll
Yeah.
be opening the products together. We both have them on order. We'll be
Yes.
playing a couple
Yes.
games with the decks. Both of us playing both sides. So we're gonna give us our full kind of review on. Do we think it's worth it? Who do we think it's for? That kind of thing. So
Hmm.
stay tuned for that a little bit later.
Definitely.
And makes a whole lot of sense. A little lore book, some decks, some cold foils, a little tantalizing. We had some mixed thoughts about that as far as like the price
The
point
price
and
point was a little bit of an
what.
issue. Yeah.
But now with the historic pack coming May 6th, the classic battles coming out a couple weeks later makes a whole lot more sense, right? Because you're kind of mixing the pot a little bit with two different
Hmm.
kind of products supporting the new
Yeah.
slash new-ish players, right? So I kind of
Exactly.
do like that now. Um,
Yeah.
and
They fit together.
the
It's good timing.
introduction. Like, I think I would buy this for people who I think might like the game. Right,
Yeah.
this is a nice gift item, which really, like,
Yeah.
giving someone a blitz deck like as a gift item, it seems fine, but it's not very nicely packaged.
It's not a
It's not very,
nice
it's not
set.
givable.
It's yeah, and I think that there are some products out there that I just love looking at sealed because they're so nicely
Hmm.
packaged, right? Nice
Hmm.
art, maybe nice little like windows for cards to come through and like, you can see things, right? I'm hoping it has that same effect. I don't think I've ever seen what it looks like sealed. I don't know if that was
Hmm.
ever made public. We just saw the banner of Dorinthia versus Reinar. We
Yeah,
never
and we
actually
had the
saw what
little
the
like what the
package
product
looked
looks
like.
like.
Have
No,
we?
we saw what the
Okay,
package looked
maybe I
like. Yeah,
missed
we
it
saw
then.
what it looked like, a little box, and it was like sticking out like that. But
Okay, so
it'll look
it
nice
is more
regardless.
stylized than just like the Blitz decks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think
Oh,
it's gonna look really
it's a
cool.
big, for $50. It better be a big boy. And so the last part, the
Right.
PVE. So
Yeah, PVE.
we're making LSS D&D, which is kind of right up my alley. So I know
Hmm.
you're a much bigger D&D guy than I am, because you actually have a group that plays every week, which is we can only dream of. Us peasants can only dream of it.
I
So
mean, we play
this
over
is right up.
Discord because we played over the pandemic. But
Yeah,
anyway,
that's true. But
yeah,
like, is where swords, shields, pizza, beer collide. I mean, I'm thinking it's
I'm
D&D,
down.
right? Like,
That sounds
so
very much like D&D.
it does, and I would be super down to have that on Discord to do PVE. I would record that. I would put, if they put this up, that would be
Yeah,
content on Spark of Genius. It'll be like
like
PVE with the
a
boys.
Spark of Genius campaign where we
Oh,
design our own
oh
stuff.
my god,
I
that would be
can't wait to
so.
see what they have in the works for this because there is so much potential with PvE. You can do raid
Yeah.
bosses at your LGS. You can like have like certain heroes that just work really well together. Like there's really good synergy there. So you can like ask
Hmm.
your friend like, "Hey, you play Bard this week. I'll play the tank," and then we kind of maybe have positional elements too in terms of like the raid boss and see like,
Sorry, you know I'm DPS, so don't
yeah,
ask me to
you don't do
support a
Bard or
tank.
you
No, I'm not barding.
can be Azalea on
Um,
DPS.
no, if it's a Zayla, I'm gonna be Dorinthia, obviously. But
Yeah. She's a
it's
bruiser.
going to be. she is a bit of a bruiser. Who would be like pure DPS? I think it'd
Not
probably be
Rangers.
like probably
Lexi.
Kano. No, it'd be Kano.
Oh
Mage
yeah,
DPS.
any mage,
It'd
any
be Kano.
archer, maybe Dash because she's pistol oriented. Anyway,
We're
all
getting
I
ahead of
want to
ourselves
say is
here.
like that's the kind of potential we're looking at with this, right? You have these really cool dynamics that you can build and like
Hmm.
build lore, world building, lore building, and just
Yep.
kind of meeting together for these raid
The
bosses. I really look forward to
possibilities.
this.
I think the possibilities really are endless, and I really like that they're
And
mentioning it
this is
here.
especially good for casual. It might only be casual,
Hmm.
actually. And
Hmm.
I would
It
say I'm
has to
more of
be.
a casual player. I really like the social aspects of playing games. I'm more of an
It's
armory
like
goer and maybe ProQuest, but you
it's
know,
like as Demo says, got to be a high level
high level
casual, right?
casual, exactly. So I kind
I
of
love
feel
that
like I
term. I
fit
still
that.
use it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't look to compete really. I look to have fun. And I play janky decks on my armories. I play KO for God's sake. So, you know, that's the kind
that's
of
true.
player I am.
Yeah.
Anyway, very hyped.
Moving into the casual play formats, Ultimate Pit Fight is like one of those. We really should try it. I feel
Hmm.
so meh about all. I tried it once, but like I
Yeah,
really
I've played a
didn't
handful of
enjoy
times
it
as
that
well.
much. I didn't really enjoy it, but I think we might want to give it another shot here. I don't really have much to say about Ultimate Pit Fight. I don't really think that's
Yeah,
kind of the future. It can be fun. I think the next one. I don't really think that we can. No
comment more
York this
on.
week. That's pretty funny. Comment more about that. We don't really have strong thoughts here. We kind of have to see it play out. But this commoner thing is very interesting
Yeah, let
because
me
at
open that
my
link since I've got it open here.
sure, sure. So in my locals, I've been running pauper tournaments, which are similar but not the same. And these have been pretty successful in getting those players that really don't have the either the means to or the want to like start buying
Yeah,
all these really expensive
they don't
cards
want
to
to commit
compete
too
with
hard
like
into the game and buy these
yeah, which
expensive
is
play
understandable.
sets. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's supposed to be a bit of a mix between like an LCG and a TCG. So the commoner pauper is supposed to be like a where worlds collide kind of thing. And so commoner is the official format. So we might be switching it to this format because it's just easier to reference.
yeah.
And essentially, what commoner is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to be using all commons except your young hero can be a rare or common,
Yep,
and you get
yep.
two rares in your inventory, up to two rares in your inventory. Your inventory is your weapons and your equipment,
Exactly.
right? And so
So
up to
you
two
can
rare
play
cards.
two claws in KO now.
No, you can literally
That's all you
KO
get.
in two claws. That's probably what they're looking at, right? Like if you want a weapon and a piece of equipment, if you're a two handed, if you have two one hands, if your
Yeah,
hero is a rare. I think Kasai is also a rare, so it covers
yeah.
Kasai and
The
sabers.
sabers are also rares. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so it covers Kasai and sabers. So they're making sure they're not leaving anyone stranded here. So I
Hmm.
really like the idea of adding in those kind of rare flex slots.
Yeah.
But everything else is just blitz. It's blitz style, right? 40 card decks. Those are only common, so no rare, no plunder runs, no ridiculousness like that.
Yep.
Uh, and only two copies of each unique card, of course. And that is kind of the idea that it is a melting pot of players bringing decks that anyone can build, essentially,
Yeah.
right? And I really quite big fan. I'm going to run this at my LGS. So I'm going to
So
do commoner,
it's
monthly commoner.
interesting that they do kind of block what heroes you can play because they are specifically blocking out now. Obviously, Shiana, who's a legendary. There are
Mm-hmm.
now I think three or four from Everfest. There was Valda, there was Icelander, there
Mm-hmm.
was Genus is now blocked out. They weren't necessarily strong heroes, I would
No,
say.
they
So
were not.
they fit into that commoner playstyle where they're not overpowered. They're just kind of janky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Still run
admit
dead
that
at all though.
maybe you can still run data at all. I think that Shiana is just not that strong without her specialization cards, which are mostly majestics. So that might
Yep.
make sense why she can't be played. Really, no, you probably wouldn't want to play her actually in this case. But I wonder if the majestic ones might have maybe could have had a place. I don't know. Icelander maybe isn't even that good because of this limitation, but I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are really on blocking these majestic type heroes, which aren't even that good to begin with.
Kind of funny that so we actually have our locals pauper event later today.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's later today or tomorrow. And Yuki was asking literally the exact same question,
Mm.
like what, like because we also didn't allow
Okay, the
those heroes
majestic
because they
level
were majestic.
heroes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we also didn't. And I think my reasoning was kind of like like it was kind of like
I mean,
I
it
don't think
does
it makes that much of
gate.
a difference.
It's true, and I think it does gate people who want to play those heroes, but just they don't have the cards. I
Mhm.
think it's really, I guess, yeah, I'm answering my own question here, but I think the reason is because they do cost
Yeah,
more money on average. And if one of those heroes actually ends up being really good eventually, well, then you have a problem where you have to
yeah.
ban that hero because they just slightly got the edge, right? You want to remove every possible edge that the rarity
I
could
think they're
cause in this case.
I think they are future proofing for sure, and I
Yeah,
definitely do enjoy the fact that they've made it official and that
yeah.
now we were hipsters. We did this way before this was a thing. This was one of my locals had this suggestion from the island.
Did it
Clint had
before it
this
was
suggestion
cool.
before it was cool. We were doing it. I just want to tell LSS,
Yeah.
James. I know you're watching. We had this idea first. Just letting you know. You can reward us however you'd like. Just letting you know.
And
And with
I
that,
can also add that the legendary heroes and the majestic heroes have a place in Blitz. They're not just completely
yeah.
tossed to the wayside. They have a place somewhere in the format or in the
Mhm.
game rather. So not the end of the world.
No, I totally agree. So I think
Yeah.
the next topic here
Okay. Yes.
we're
Let me go
looking
back to
at
FAB
is
2.0 here.
the
Yeah.
rule enforcement. This is actually the rule enforcement is actually
Yeah.
one of my personal things that I wanted to see because when
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to like adequately judge and assess like different when you study for like the judge tests and stuff like that. I'll
Yeah.
study when you some people I guess study,
Study.
but like
Yeah.
when you review slash study for the thing, it kind of the fact that tier 3 and tier 4 tournaments are professional enforcement, and then the road to the tier 2 and tier 1 events are both casual enforcement. But
Mm-hmm.
the difference between a nationals event or like a calling event or like a worlds or whatever and a road to nationals is large. It's a much different event. The prize pool is much bigger.
Yeah.
The turnout is much bigger. The what's a stake is much bigger. Like these are streamed events too. Like
Mm-hmm.
these make a lot more sense. There's plenty of judges, but the difference between a level 1 and a level 2 event, I feel is also fairly
Significant.
large.
Yeah.
Not as big, but like the fact that there's no difference between just any old tier 1 armory event and a pro
And a pro
quest
quest. Yeah.
where there's a gold full on the line, there's a
Mm-hmm.
pro tour which is a tier 4 invite on the line.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a lot on the line to keep it on a casual rule enforcement. The same idea with like skirmish is a tier 1 event, but it has
Yeah.
a different sets of prizing. I think that there definitely needed to be some kind of intermediate rule enforcement to adequately categorize the tournaments in terms of not just the tier level, but also what's at stake
Yeah.
and the competitive integrity of these tier 2 and tier 1 events that on the surface they don't look like they're super important compared to like the calling,
Yeah.
but for a lot of players tier 2 is their competitive. They might
Yeah.
not have the means or they don't want to go to a calling or it's not really in their area or something like that, but like tier 2 is their competitive event level. I know plenty of players like that, and I feel like it would really benefit them to and the community as a whole if there was like a bit of a carve out as far as the rule enforcement that would help players better get acclimated so that if they do go to a calling, it's not such a random shock because the difference between that enforcement is large. Like the IP penalties go up, the penalties in general go up.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a like I've definitely seen people in calling just get DQ'd for things that
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't necessarily get DQ'd for in like a casual enforcement event. So I definitely like this quite a bit
Yep.
and I like why they're doing it. I would want to see what that intermediate enforcement is, but I like it for now.
Yeah. It's a step in the right direction for sure.
I covered everything from that. That's
Yeah.
I like
We're done.
the hello Elo and
Hello,
recognizing.
Elo.
There must be some kind of pun master over there at LSS here
Hello.
making these
Hello.
titles.
It's like echoing
Uh,
hello. 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 Anyway.
Anyways, so this is a different kind of point with the ELO and the XP, something that's being brought to everyone's attention as far as qualifying for the Pro Tour in New Jersey. The fact that top 100 XP lifetime and 90 day is a little bit strange to a lot of people, and the main reason being behind there weren't enough events that gave ELO to actually use the ELO rating board yet.
Yeah.
And I think this is part of the trying to address that now they feel that with OP being at this particular stage that it's the right time to kind of make Elo a bit more accessible. And I love this because Canada, up in any non, I think any non US, like any country other than the US, really just doesn't have the kind of population support base and the infrastructure base to be able to run all of these events. Like,
Yeah.
not everyone has a Channel Fireball, SGG, that kind of
Nope.
thing to run these events. So I think that,
Yeah.
especially cost based is also too. Uh, Giving more players a chance to hit that elo without having to spend hundreds of dollars in plane tickets and travel expenses to actually get
Mm-hmm.
to these events wherever they may be
Yeah.
is a must. I think, right?
Yeah.
Adding elo to ProQuests, adding
Mm-hmm.
elo to battle. I don't think elo was in battle hardens either. So adding elo to ProQuests, roads, and battle hardens,
The roads,
neither of which.
especially, being actually the same
Yep.
level as ProQuest here. So
They are
really good.
both they are both tier 2 events. So that does
Right.
make sense.
So it does make
I'm not
sense.
actually
Yeah.
sure if I think Battle Hardened isn't actually technically on the OP like tier list as far
Okay.
as
Yeah.
events go, because I know Nats and the Calling are tier 3, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why they're both the same. But I guess Battle Hardened is kind of in the middle, and that kind of makes sense when it's in terms of like you're getting two
Yeah.
PTIs now for first and second. And for Roads and ProQuest, only the first place gets like the invite, whatever
Right.
the invite is, either to Nats or PTI.
Right.
So that actually makes sense as far as the K factor. Don't know why they called it the K factor, but it's
Yeah.
essentially the factor in which the elo will apply to that event relative to the strength of the event based on the player base, right?
Yeah.
So the accessibility, they kind of mentioned the accessibility here. The points are in line with
Yep.
frequency because there are a lot more pro quests than
Mm-hmm.
there are like battle hardens and roads. I imagine that means that the next season of road, because I remember there's definitely in the season 1 for road to nationals there weren't that many road to nationals as compared to
Right.
like how many pro quests we're seeing in PQ1 and PQ2.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they're probably increasing the number of roads they're going to give this season, which is interesting. I think that'll have a different kind of effect. We'll see that kind of later if that does pop up. But
Yeah.
enabling kind of elo to be used in this OP really does make a whole lot of sense to players. As I mentioned, depending on where someone's living, they could be paying a lot of money to go some of these events, and to not be able to gain elo to if they want to be a competitive player, you're gatekeeping a lot of your population. Maybe not a lot, but there is a portion of players that you're
There are
definitely
people.
gatekeeping by not
Yeah.
that, if you gave them some elo, there's some chances to do elo, maybe they wouldn't have to rely on the good graces of someone gifting them a PTI or something
Yep.
like that. But
Yep.
what do you think? What do you think about the elo?
No, I think it's great. There needs to be a system in place, I think, for rewarding these higher level competitions, right? Instead of just having like here's a PTI for first or second, or just for first, right? I think it's great. This really does. I think
That's
it does
yeah.
balance things out or spread it out in a way that it's less
Mhm.
concentrated. Oops, sorry, less concentrated in on specific events, and more so that you can now participate in your local Road to Nats and ProQuest and still get a fair amount of
It's
elo,
a little something something
something for
for
your
getting
trouble.
like third.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
like
don't
you
have
don't
any
have to
like
like.
conflicting thoughts with yours. I think I agree wholeheartedly. I think this is a good system in place, and I'll be taking advantage of it myself. So, as someone
Yep.
who
No, it
doesn't
makes
participate
sense.
in these higher
Yeah.
level tournaments, I think this will be good for me.
Yeah, that's like a little elo. They're considering implementation of activity to remain on the elo board. We're no comment on that. We don't really know. Banning the
Right,
restricted
right.
list.
Yeah, yeah. They
Uh,
put the ban
uh,
list on the ban list.
I know I saw this and I was kind of like,
Yeah,
that is interesting because
yeah.
they
This is out of
seem
left field. We did not expect this at all.
no, they definitely seem super hesitant to ban cards
Hmm.
outright as far as like meta, like just based on
Yeah.
their language they used in the BNR earlier,
Hmm.
which we'll talk about in the video coming out tomorrow in our discussion video. But
Yeah.
like they do seem very hesitant to start making a whole bunch of changes
Hmm.
willy nilly, depending on like
You can tell that.
popular opinion and
Yeah,
such.
you can tell that they do not take banning cards lightly. I
Hmm.
think. You know, I think you can see it in multiple ways, but one way that you could see it is that like there was like a flaw, maybe in the design or something, and I think they take this really seriously. And batting a card is a pretty big deal. So with this kind of new system that they're implementing here, is that they're gonna put things on. How they word this? They put it on a new list. A suspension will be
Hmm.
applied to a card, which will give it a time period in which it cannot be played. Um, and they've given some conditions that kind of end that time period. So I'll read them out here. There are three bullet points. So a card can be restricted until maybe until the next ban list or announcement. It
Mm.
could be banned until a specific time, so June 30, and or until a hero becomes living legend. So if there's a specific hero that is making this card really good and really broken in the current meta, they can put out a statement saying like, okay, we will suspend Ball Lightning until Briar is living legend, or something like that.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
I definitely understand why they're doing it. It's a lot more flexible, right? And I think flexibility is key with a game that's like in its youth. Like nativity is not nativity. Is it nativity the right word? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's new.
Nascent.
It's a new in their nascence. Yeah, exactly. I like that word. And so it kind of does make sense in that they're able to, we made a mistake at will. I'm just kidding.
Right.
But you know, it makes a whole lot of sense to actually put on dates rather than to kind of leave everyone up in the air as far as maybe they explained why, but they didn't explain like to that effect.
Yeah.
Is there something they can remove it off the list, like Seeds of Agony, for example? Is there some kind of please just give me back? Just I'll take one Seeds of Agony. I'll just give me one of one
Yeah.
color. I'm just
Exactly.
kidding. But
Yeah.
they also do mention like as far as Blitz in general, they are kind of reinforcing the fact that so tends to use it liberally for Blitz because they're just kind of like Blitz is Blitz, There might be a calling for Blitz, which is kind of funny. It's like it's a we are
Yeah.
focusing on CC, but we could still have a calling
I
for
mean,
it.
there were
Which
battle hardened Blitz, I believe, right?
Battle Hardened was like one of the main kind of Battle Hardened was mainly Blitz. That was
Right.
supposed to be the Blitz accompanying event to the calling CC,
Yeah.
but the calling was Krakow is the calling Blitz. There was one in New Zealand too, a Blitz calling, but
Right.
I
Yes.
think it's definitely fine. They're just reinforcing that thought, and they're kind of experimenting with it to kind of determine whether formats are, they're in reasonable shape as far as hero diversity and as far as fairness, as far as like accessibility goes. So I think that's fine. I'm curious. I'm even more curious on May 2nd on the BNR
The new
announcement.
BNR.
If
Yeah.
this yeah, if this is coming into play, it definitely makes a whole ton of sense to explain that this is going to come out. I'm willing
Yep.
to bet they're going to use it on May 2nd to be like,
Yeah.
Oakenold is banned until after PTE, or something is
Yeah.
banned until like you know what I mean, and that gives a really good workaround to be able to, hey, you want to shake up the meta for your pro tour,
Yes.
we're gonna restrict something until after the pro tour, like
Yeah.
because then after that it's really like, well, you probably don't have a lot of other big events up until like the June 24th release of Uprising, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
very much understand the timing and the extensiveness as they're putting into this. So I'm very, very curious. Man, May 2nd is going to be a hell of a day here.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's the ban list here. So what's a hero without their trusty ... and other matters of becoming a legend? Hey,
Mm-hmm.
they gotta introduce me to this writer here who's making up the titles. They could do our YouTube titles.
Yep.
And this is an interesting one because this is the changes to the living legend status, right? So
Yeah.
now, summary
Yeah.
wise, they're just adding a weapon to the hero as their
Yes.
signature weapon. So their signature weapon is essentially the token weapon that this hero came with, as far as the standard one
Mm-hmm.
that was the first one to be used. It's a
Right. Right.
kind of it's in the
A
art, it's in the lore,
Yeah, I mean,
whatever
you can
whatever
see the
have you.
example here for Prism is Luminaris. It is not
It's not
it's
Iris.
not Iris. Yeah. So Luminaris, I think being in her art as well. I think it's her
Yeah,
kind of her weapon she's using in the art.
I think it is. Yeah.
And it is the main weapon that Prism players play. They do not play the Iris at all. But we see other examples here where that isn't the case. For example, for where was he? I'm looking for Chain. For Chain, we are banning Galaxy Black, which
Which makes sense because Briar has Rosetta, right? Like that's
yeah,
Briar's weapon, technically
this is
speaking.
Chain's
So
weapon,
like
but it is not
the
because of the
one he uses
meta.
the most of. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No,
It's
it
his
totally makes sense.
iconic
Like,
weapon. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, Viscera is using Nebula Blade. Like,
Yeah.
he's using Rosetta in the meta, but he's using Nebula
So
Blade
so
in.
all rune blades should protect Briar if they want to keep being very
No,
good,
yeah,
so they can
don't
keep
let
their
Briar
Rosetta
win. Just use
Thorn.
her weapon. Yeah, Lexi's using Voltaire. Lexi's not using Shiver.
Yep,
That's another one of note.
it's true.
Because just because.
I mean,
Oldham's
that's
using
the one she's
Winter's
using in
Wail,
the art. I
not.
think in her art, I
Yep.
believe it is Voltaire. Yep.
Same thing with Oldham and Winter's Wail, not using the Titan's Fist. So
Titan's
same
Fist.
same kind
Yeah.
of idea. Levia with Hexagore, not
Hexagore.
the Meat Axe.
Interesting. Yeah, not the meat X
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
are all Monarch heroes just using their Majestic except for Chain?
Let's see. Yeah, I think so. We have Levia, we have Prism. Where's
What was
Bolton? Bolton's Raiden. That makes sense. And we're
so they're not.
missing
What was
Chain.
it?
Yeah,
It was the Death Scythe. That was the Majestic
Dread
for
Scythe.
Rune Blade. Oh, Dread Scythe. Sorry, Death
Dread
Scythe sounds
Scythe.
much better.
Yeah.
Um, so they're not. They decided no Dread Scythe. We're gonna go Galaxy Black, which makes
Interesting.
sense because they have the Altart Galaxy Black. He's
Yeah,
holding Galaxy Black
he's
since Soul
holding it.
Reaping.
They're
He's holding it
keeping
as hero.
the lore slash art style coupled here with
Hmm.
their weapon, and which makes sense. I like that.
Yep. No. No Talishar for Cavdeed Trader
That's
skins.
pretty
I see,
funny.
but it's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's
So
interesting.
short and sweet. They're gonna ban the weapons along with the heroes if they reach Living Legend. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
And Legendary and Beyond. So there's this little part here.
Mm,
They've essentially just confirmed that
right. Right.
they're gonna go the way of
It won't be long.
Magic the Gathering and give us all a legacy format. Essentially, is what they're saying for all you Magic players out there.
Yeah.
Legacy will be a thing. They're just waiting for enough heroes to actually,
Yeah.
warrant releasing a legacy format. Because right now, legacy format would be the same thing as our as
Zero
our
changes.
yeah, and they don't have like, of course, Magic definitely like their their sets are based off set rotations, right?
Yeah.
So like that's how they frame it. Whereas James White has been pretty clear that that's not how he wants to do it. But what he will do that doesn't affect set rotation is legacy, and that's just everything, everything from every set. So everything is living legends. You can
Yeah.
still use it. And seasonal programs here. That's kind of
Yeah. Living
whatever
Legends.
it is. Yeah, so that's kind
Right.
of adding.
They're
That's kind of what they said in 2022 when they're rotating different events. So they'll have seasons, right? And that's kind of what we've been using in Spark of Genius to kind of determine our
yeah.
content for like ProQuest season or skirmish season, or so it'd be Blitz Focus. So I think other channels kind of do the same, and the content is kind of surrounded that from FAB TCG itself. Kind of makes sense. I do like it. It provides much needed structure, in my opinion, compared to 2021. Well, for us, it was the tail end, but even in general for FAB TCG as a game, it was kind of like, oh, I'm getting ready for, I don't know, question mark, the next event, I guess, but like we don't know what it
Yeah.
is and we don't know like how important it is.
Yeah.
Um, so I definitely like the seasonality
It gives
of
more of
like
a structure
PQs.
to the events.
Yeah, maybe you're not going to the US or going to like your callings and wherever you're going to. Maybe like the big event for you is Nats. So the seasons that matter for you are like the
Yeah.
PQ seasons and the road seasons, whatever meta that is. Maybe you're
Exactly.
practicing limited. Maybe limited is your thing. Please God, give us limited formats that we can play and get elo and prizes for. Please, thank you. And so that's definitely what is we've been seeing. What we've been seeing. Oh my God, what we've been
Hmm.
seeing and how I think it should be.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts you got?
I mean, this is more than I expected from Fab 2.0. I think this is all really good stuff. I expected the unlimited stuff going away, which I am very happy
Yeah,
about. That was
I
my
think everyone
biggest gripe.
expected that.
We are seeing
Yeah,
the reprints of some good cards like CNC and all that stuff. Tunic again, it's fine. But anyway,
another
I
another
think I
another
was gonna,
tunic. Yeah,
yeah, another Tunic exactly. So I think this is all very good stuff. I have no complaints whatsoever about the plans. I think they look great. I'm looking forward to raking in some Elo eventually, and I look forward to the next set of products. I really want to get into that. I really want to see those white borders in person. I'm excited about them.
I really
I'll say
want
that I'm
to.
cautiously optimistic because I'm not for
Right.
Magic. I don't really know. I've never seen white border cards actually, to be honest,
What's
in person.
so? Would you say out of this article that's what you're looking forward to the most?
I think so. I think that opening some of the new product once it's out will
Yep.
be my biggest what I'm looking forward to the most, I would say.
Yeah, probably. I think for me, it's the June 24th. It's the release of
The new set.
the new booster set. I just want to get. I want a new limited format like Tails. It's been a while since
Yeah,
Tails released, right? I want to get into like
draftable set.
a new draftable set. As I said, I've said this a bunch of times. I'm more of a limited player than anything else. I
Hmm.
really love limited,
Yeah.
and so I'd like to get more into that. And I think the second thing is I want that flesh and blood D&D. Like
Oh, that's
I'm
what I
ready for the
forgot to
Flesh and
mention.
Blood
Of course,
I'm
that
ready
that
for the
would
Flesh and Blood D&D.
that'd be my bread and butter format. I think if I were if it once it comes out, I'm gonna play that all the time. I think I'm very excited, and
Honestly,
I'll be able to bring my wife back into the game. I think she still likes it,
yeah,
but now that I've been playing at more like local events, we don't play as much together.
yeah.
I think the PVE/D&D will be a way for us to play again, together, which would be great.
Oh, I'll be there. But we can also get some
Double
content out,
date,
which will be pretty fun. Oh, that would be fun. I
double
think
fab
people
date.
would see that. People would like to see
It'll
that.
be on the Tinder
Uh,
profiles. Do you play? Do
oof.
you play Fab D&D?
Oh my god, plays like I'm a level 20 warrior looking for my level 15
A
Reinhardt.
leveling
Does that make any
system.
sense?
Make it
Oh man, that would
RPG
be
style. Include the
okay.
elo in there to make yourself like more
we're
powerful.
getting we're getting so ahead of ourselves, and we're gonna just disappoint ourselves. So let's stop there. Appreciate everybody for watching. This will be on Spotify for everyone's listening enjoyment, as this is our one of our other kind of ad hoc discussion videos. If we left anything out, if you're excited for something we haven't talked about, if you have any kind of differing thoughts, do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Please let us know. And with that, appreciate everyone for watching. And with that, whenever you're watching this, wherever you're watching this in the world,
Mhm.
have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Bye for now.